I'm Sonya Lee.
And I'm Eric Thomas.
And welcome to Cosmic Slop Radio. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd. I wanted to make sure I didn't get that incorrect because it's been a little
Crazy.
chaotic,
Yeah.
confusing. Have you been feeling it? We had that full moon last Monday, and then this week we had Easter on Sunday, and that was kind of the beginning of this Grand Cross, which is at its peak today and will continue on its down cycle over the next couple of days, taking us into the 29th, where there's the solar eclipse and the new moon. So there's a lot of energies going on out there, and we were talking about how we've been experiencing kind of some highs and lows this past week as we're moving forward with our own experiences of these energies, because they're very powerful energies. I don't want anyone to think that this is all a negative thing. These are wonderful, expansive energies that can be confusing, that can be chaotic, but they can also be the thing that makes that that seed pop up out of the soil. I mean, these are groundbreaking, game-changing energies that we are in right now. So it's important. If you feel like you're being squeezed, it's because you're a lump of coal becoming a diamond.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's one way to take pressure.
Yeah. So what about you?
Well, this week has been up and down, and I wouldn't characterize it as chaotic because I haven't felt like that kind of frenzy around it. But it's been wide swings, and you had said about finding that center in these swings.
Oh yeah, the
and,
balance.
The balance of these polarities, if you will. And I've been able to kind of like let myself get kind of down again and bring myself right back out and see the beauty of it. But more so than the chaoticness or the swing that I've had, it's been mostly massively great things opening.
See?
Great opportunities.
It can be good stuff too.
These last few days, just amazing things. I mean, just clients calling and an opportunity to speak at a presentation. All these things coming in that I want to have happen are showing up. And I'm not having to do anything except for not be afraid to follow them.
Sure. And that's what this energy is about. It's about stretching and expanding yourself. It's about no limits. And allowing yourself, whatever it is that you think of as defining who you are, go bigger.
Yes.
Whatever you think your belief is for your life, for your spirituality, think bigger, dream bigger, because this is not narrow, small, limiting energy. This is expansive, limitless,
supportive,
ripping the head off and spitting down the neck kind of energy. I know that was a bit graphic, but it really is about just breaking through those barriers, those self-imposed barriers that limit us in our life. And it doesn't matter whether it's a dogma or it's a belief,
your story about yourself,
your story. We talked about stories last week.
Yeah, all of that's out the window.
That's right. It is absolutely. And if you try to cling to that, that's where you're going to run into trouble, because right now this is a tearing down, this is a breaking down, this is a stripping down. For those of you out there that have ever bleached your hair or dyed your hair and gone a different color, you'll know that first you've got to strip the color out of it before you can impart new color in. So if you this is what we're going through right now. We're in that stripping down period so that we can, like the phoenix, rise from the ashes anew and renewed and ready to walk our authentic path, because this is what this time is about right now. Right now is about clearing out all the bullshit and identifying and remembering what we agreed to come here to do, and then be it. And notice how I went from do to be, because it is truly the mantra from last week was to be in the doing and do in the being. And at first when I heard that, I was like, okay, I need to think about this one for a second. But it really is, do be. do being. Okay, that makes sense.
Doobie-doobie-doo.
Doobie-doobie-doo.
A little Frank Sinatra.
Yay.
Well, the thing that I've really found like today is I would be presented with a limiting idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was going to this presentation today, it's like, Eric, you're gonna go and do this? It's like, oh yeah, you are. I would instantly catch myself, but it would be, that limiting idea would show up.
Oh, yeah.
And then just throw it away. I had well, we both had this teacher.
Yeah.
A really great teacher, and one of the things he taught me was to end prayers and affirmations. Whatever you ever pray for or have a meditation on or an affirmation about, it can be limiting. Because you're saying, here's what I want. You're repeating,
Yeah.
I'm looking for this. And a lot of people say, hey, or to my best, highest good.
Yep.
The kind of the catch-all. Well, my favorite is that he would say, to infinity and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And
Buzz Lightyear.
yeah, I've been embracing that one a lot lately, and I was doing that today too. It's like I wanted the show to become huge, and I want to travel, and I want to do all these things and teach, and all this work that we're putting together here.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes my beliefs are limiting about it, even when they're huge.
Well,
and not now.
and
not
you know,
today.
and it's interesting too, because I was reading about the Story Waters and channeling with Seth and Jane Roberts and all of that. And the chapter I was reading was talking about fear and how there is nothing to fear. And one of the situations that he was presented with and able to work through in his own fears was the fear of channeling these entities, because then he would become someone that was pursued by audiences, that he would become so famous and so well known, and he didn't know if he wanted to do that because he kind of liked his solitude and his isolation. And when you're that big and you're on all the time, there is no anonymity. Everywhere you go, people recognize you and they reach out to you and they want to talk to you. And he wasn't sure if he was ready for that because, he kind of liked the fact that he could just go back to his little cave and be in his space. And when he wanted to go out, he would step out. I know, does this resonate? I know it did for me. Or invite someone in. But here's the thing, that he realized is that it can be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. Just the mere thought that he had that thought was limiting.
Yeah.
And if we believe and understand the law of manifestation, well then you're obviously going to manifest that because that's what you believe to be your truth.
Right.
So it was really, in reading that this week as we were going through all these things with the Grand Cross, I love the signs and symbols. By the way, there are signs and symbols everywhere. I can't turn left or right without having a sign from the heavens being pointed in my direction. I have asked for, I cannot tell you how many years, for them to just give me a sign, and now I'm being hit over the head with them. So thank you very much for that kind assistance and guides. But they're out there. You just have to pay attention. You just have to be aware of what's going on around you. And in order to do that, you need to be present. And in order to be present, you need to be grounded. And these are topics that we'll be covering in shows because we feel like that not only are we sharing experiences and telling you what's going on, but we really want to kind of educate you as well as to what are these things we're talking about, what does a session look like with us, what is hypnotherapy, what is grounding and meditating and protecting and centering and Reiki and all of these things. So watch for the shows in the weeks to come. We're going to be taking each one of these and looking at them and sharing that information with you so that you can have a more kind of not just a conceptual or theoretical understanding of the things that we do and that we offer. And why do we do this?
Why?
Yeah. Why do you do this?
Back to your story about the person who didn't want to go out in the world because they want to give up their stuff. I stopped being selfish.
Ooh.
I mean, I still have some selfishness, but
Self-interest.
Yeah, it's probably more like that now than selfishness, but it was selfishness. And it's like, I've been blessed with so many great things and healings and teachings, and I've learned from so many great people. how much my life has turned around from it.
Mm-hmm.
That when I'm out in the world and I see the common issues that I have and run into, I have something to offer.
You know,
and as I've been offering it, it seems to be very well received. And then I start getting clients, and then that's well received. And it's like, you know what, this is what I'm supposed to do.
it's your testimony.
Well, or, yeah.
You're a walking testament to your life.
Well, I think that's when you can live in integrity, right? You can talk about all this stuff, but do you live it?
Yeah.
And until you live it, it doesn't really have the full impact.
And this is the thing too about being in integrity is when you live these things, you know, it's one thing to go to school and go through all this training and learn all these theories and concepts and ideals and things like practices, and then go out and, you know, and this is not a slight to anybody, so please don't send me any emails, and then go out and be, you know, a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a social worker or a counselor. What we do is in some ways similar to that, although under legal guidelines we're not allowed to call ourselves counselors or whatnot. But really what it's doing is we're just being a mirror image for what your experience is, which at one time or maybe in that very moment simultaneously our experience. And so, you know, we have a saying that says you can't teach someone something you don't already know. So that's really what this is about. It's about the life lessons and the experiences that we've experienced through our own path, and then just sharing and hearing other people's paths and stories, and you know, kind of helping to facilitate navigating where you want to go on your path now.
Yeah.
It's like, and you know, there's always the joke that men never ask for directions, which I don't believe is true.
Not anymore.
Not, you know, well, not with GPS. But, you know, if you're lost, are you going to continue to drive around aimlessly, hoping that maybe you'll figure out where you're supposed to go and get to your destination? Or are you going to stop and ask someone for directions?
Or are you tired of driving around aimlessly? Are you tired of like reading self-help books and pulling together a lot of great information out there?
But how do you integrate it?
Right. Until you can integrate it into some kind of a process or philosophy for yourself, it's really just a lot of great information that goes nowhere.
And how many times have you gone to a great weekend workshop or seminar and come away with a million, volumes of notes, and you're just so pumped and you're just driving everybody in your house crazy because you're just talking about how motivating and exciting it was, and then a week later that shit is gathering dust on a shelf and you don't integrate anything that you learned, because although it resonated in you, two things are necessary in order for that integration and that new adaptation, if you will, to take place in your life. Number one, and most importantly, is accountability. There are very few self-motivated, self-disciplined people out there.
Sure.
I mean, and that's not a negative thing, that's just an is. So before you beat yourself up because you say, I have no discipline and I have no kind of self-accountability, you are in good company. 90% of the world moves to the beat of that drum. So there's nothing wrong with being coached.
Hence all the issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with being coached or having somebody to hold you accountable. And if it's
Oh, it's helped me tremendously.
oh my gosh,
I needed someone to teach me even just how to breathe a different way.
that's right.
Because something as simple as breathing, which is supposed to be automatic, it's under our influence, and it's under the influence of the stressors in our lives and a balance with the relaxation in our life.
Sure.
If you're always in fight or flight, you're never relaxing, your breathing's shallow. It's just, it's just learning even some simple stuff.
I know a lot of people are going through life holding their breath. I mean, you know,
I
it's
spent
just
a few years doing it myself.
Sure. And then the other part about that is validation or confirmation. And I use those two words rather than recognition, because to me personally, I don't think anybody needs to be patted on the back or recognized for their awarenesses or their improvements or their transformations or their what have you. But I do think validation is important, because when you get that confirmation or that validation from someone, it helps you. It's another form of accountability, in my opinion. It helps you to know that you're on the right track.
Or proof.
Or proof.
I use it like proof a lot more than anything. It's like, okay, this is the 5th time this has happened, or this has got a good rhythm to it, and I know that I should pursue that because Spirit's laying it out for me.
Sure.
If I'm getting this support, this is the direction I should go. When I go this way and the door slams shut, I'm not going to take it personal anymore. And I say, but I want that, and throw a temper tantrum. It's like, okay, I embrace that. That's what that is. If all this is lining up for me, then I should just go in this direction.
Absolutely.
And it comes down to the idea of surrender.
Yes.
It comes down to the idea of surrender, not as in giving up, although sometimes you need to. Sometimes you just need to throw your hands up and say, screw it, man. I've spent 20 years struggling with this problem.
That's right.
I need to talk to somebody who needs a different perspective.
Sure.
But surrender, in its beautiful form, is a choice.
Yep.
Renunciation is a choice.
Yep.
It's saying, you know what, I'm just going forward. I'm just not going to choose these things
Sure.
that create these problems for me.
And I'm going to let go of the attachment to whatever it is, or whoever it is, or whyever it is.
Yeah.
Because attachment shows up in a lot of different ways.
Exactly. But in coaching, this is what we work on. We work to identify, where is this attachment? Why do you have it? This is when, hypnotherapy comes in.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, let's go in there and work on some beliefs, and let's go look on the experiences that have built this belief that you now make all your decisions from, consciously or subconsciously. It's in play, and examine that. So there's so many things going on right now where in this past 10 days I've just been whacked, but every one of the things I've ever learned I've used for myself, and I've been using with my clients.
Sure.
And we're all kind of moving through it.
And this is what this is all about, It's for the longest time has been about the individual. And we're making that shift right now collectively from the solar plexus chakra, which is about our own personal fire and our personal will, into the heart chakra, which is about unconditional love in the collective. It's also moving from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius.
And those are about?
And those are about moving from ourselves individually into we. So it's going from I to we, from me to us. And it doesn't mean that we're going to lose our individuality. It just means that we're going to factor in the collective in what we do. And this is happening in every single area, avenue, space on this planet Earth. In our thoughts, in our hearts, in our minds, in our experiences, this is what's happening. Look at the news. Look at what's going on in the grocery stores. Look at what's going on in the fields where our food's being grown, in the water, in the oceans, we are all looking at, hey, you know what? We're not an island. Everything here is interconnected, and if we don't work together, we are going to destroy ourselves. And this is exactly what this energy of this Grand Cross is allowing for, is for you to go inside and take a look at where's your shadow, where do you limit yourself, where do you show up small in your life, and either transform it or have it blown to bits, because this is no longer an acceptable way to be. The gods have spoken, enough is enough. Dress rehearsal, playtime is over. We agreed to come here and show up in a certain way to experience certain things, and now is the time to do it. And it is not something that I'm saying to frighten you. This is exciting times right now. We are in such a revolutionary and evolutionary point in our history, and this week, today, this day today, is the eye of the storm. So take the opportunity to stretch, to grow, to be uncomfortable, to go into places that scare the living shit out of you, because that is where your most profound transformations are going to happen. And we want to hear about it. We want to know what has happened for you this week, this last week, this month. April is a huge transformational month, and we'll share those emails because there are other people out there that are going through the exact same thing that you're going through. And just like we share what's going on in our lives to help you feel more comfortable with what's going on in your life, there are other people out there that are in these same situations, and they feel like they're all alone and isolated, and they have no one that can understand and no one they can talk to. We have so much more in common with each other than we have in common, that is not in common. We just need to remember that, and we need to remember that we are amazing spiritual beings, and we are having a human experience, not the other way around.
Yeah, and it's kind of the human experience. My model, I know there's about ascension and all that things, but I still am in a descension mode. I still experience it this way, that my higher self has to come down in clarity and rescue my poor little human. My little human's hurt at times. Here's one of the things I learned this week. I spent a lot of time last year healing my wounded child and things from my childhood and perceptions about myself and things like that. Last week when I tried to kill myself off and it didn't work, what's happened since that little follow-up show is that I need to heal my wounded adult.
Sure.
And it's been an amazing process.
Sure.
But in it, I've kind of like distributed myself out to the world, if you will. It's like, you know what, I'm not the only one having this. Other people are going through these things, you know, all that whole thing. And in that expansion of myself, I guess that Aquarian kind of behavior, what I've actually found is a whole new sense of myself as an individual.
Sure.
And the strength that I have, the capability I have to overcome my thoughts and my experiences to blossom.
Well,
everything's just going great right now.
And here's the point that I want to share with you. When you talk about your higher self coming down and you know, taking care, rescuing this poor little human, like they're two separate entities. And what's happening in this energy is an allowance to transform our thinking to that which is we're not separate.
At all.
There is no separation except that which we believe or have been led to believe through dogma. Because we're not. We are that higher self. That higher self is this little human. And just like they say, I am that I am, you know, and we were talking about the teachings of Jesus earlier, and he said, you know, anything that you can do, anything that I can do, you can do, and you can do it better. And I know there are people out there that are going to have difficulties with that because they need that separation. Because heaven forbid, if they truly were these great and powerful beings, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. And I'm sorry, I'm going to blow some bubbles here because I'm stretching myself and I'm going to question your belief in that and say, you know what? I challenge you to not believe it because as I shared this week at Easter, Matthew 17:20 says that if with faith, and faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain if you believe. If your faith is such, I'm not going to say believe, if your faith is such that you know that is true, then it is true. So, you know, keep being small and see how that works for you. And I can tell you, you're going to keep feeling that pressure. But if you surrender,
your favorite word,
and you open up your heart and your mind and your soul and just fill it with love, you are going to be amazed. You are going to have a week like my friend Eric is here. Eric has done the work. He has gone to the dark, ugly places that he didn't want to have to face and deal with, the parts of himself that he's denied or that he has rejected. Yeah. And Spirit said, no. It is all you. And just like at the end of last week when he said, I killed off Eric Rad, and Eric Rad made himself known at the end of that show. It was the most beautiful thing ever because we have to own all of what we are. Yes. Good, bad, and indifferent. So, hallelujah, brother. That was awesome.
It was incredible. But you know what? None of it's good or bad.
No, it's not.
That's the whole
thing.
It's just necessary.
It's just this.
And yeah, it lays a foundation. You can either pick out of it the debris, or you can pick out the gold.
Well, they're used with terms good, bad. So we speak in the language that they understand. But you're absolutely right.
I want to change my language.
Well, sure.
That's the thing. I want to get out of judgment.
And you'll change your language too when you realize, because once again, when there's no separation, there's no duality. And yes, duality exists in our 3D existence, but there's no duality.
And most of that's actually illusion as well.
Well, it is, but the reality of our spiritual beingness is there's only love. That's the beginning and the end. And what was it that Thomas Merton said?
The only power that can transform things is love.
Yes.
It's the only power that humans have access to that can actually transform into beauty, is through love. You know, we turn things into crap through hate. We destroy ourselves, we destroy our families, our friends, our possibilities through hate and fear, but that's, it's karma.
Yeah.
If you generate actions with that energy, then the universe can just say, well, here's some more of that. Here's what that will bear fruit as. So,
Whereas Dharma is...
Everything is a lesson. Every single moment is an opportunity to learn about yourself, which is a learning about another, because we are all the same. We all humans, all animals, I believe even the plants do it. Mm-hmm. We are drawn towards something good, and we run away from something bad. We want no suffering. Mm-hmm. We run away from suffering. It's a basic human condition, but the thing is getting the message straight of what are the conditions.
Sure.
If you view, like the view I had some of the time this past week was so dark. But I knew because of my practice that that wasn't the truth. But man, it was in me.
Sure, and it
had to get out.
And it needs to be expressed and have its equal time. I mean, Debbie Ford talks about that in the shadow effect as well. It will find its way out of you, one way or another. And this is when you see people go do crazy, stupid stuff, and you think, how could they do that? And that's because they've suppressed their shadow for so long that the shadow said, screw you, I'm taking over now, and now you're going to go do really stupid things like run naked down the middle of a street, Well, I don't know. Was that Kobe guy? Coney guy, whatever his name was?
The world's a crazy place sometimes.
It is. So, just embrace it all, love it all, allow yourself to be open, allow yourself to stay in balance. When you feel these extreme highs or lows, recognize them, see them for what they are, and then bring yourself back to that center point that just says, okay, I'm going to just be here, I'm going to be still, I'm going to be calm.
No judgment on it.
No judgment.
Observe it.
And if there's something that really pushes a button for you and really brings up, the fear monger in you, then that's the thing you want to run to and embrace, because it will chase you. It will chase your ass all over the house. I'm telling you, just turn and face it. Like when you tell a little kid to look in the closet and you'll see there's nothing to be afraid of. Look in your closets. Saturn and Scorpio, go into your karmic closet, clean that crap out. Face the things that you want and live big. Dream big.
Yes.
And the mantra for this week, we're going to start doing mantras. The mantra for this week is, I have limitless potential. I am limitless opportunities, and I am limitless abundance in my life, in my heart, and coming from my soul.
That's awesome. I think that's the best way to end the show.
I do too.
A positive affirmation to reprogram your thinking, reprogram your inner energy, your inner dialogue. Give yourself a chance to love yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you can't really love yourself because you're hard on yourself all the time, how can you really love another?
You can't. And how can you expect someone to love you?
Exactly. So keep in that positive space, keep that affirmation handy over the rest of your life. Use it the rest of your life. And see what happens for yourself and create what you'd like to have happen. Trust in yourself.
Nice.
And have faith that the process is bigger than we know. And when you get in tune with it, it's just the most amazing thing.
And talking about the process being bigger than you know, one of my favorite blogsters that I like to follow, Denise LaFay, talked about how just like you can't explain or expect a child to understand what it is to be an adult and all the wonders that go with that, during this process of transformation, ascension, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, we can't possibly know what that looks like on the other side until we get there. So rather than limiting yourself with what you think it could be or what you think it should be, just be open to the limitless possibility of what is in this moment right now, and just go with that. And if you look for the signs, if you follow the steps that are laid out before you, you can't go wrong. You'll find all of this pressure start to ease. It's there. You're still going to feel it because it's a collective energy. But you don't have to stay in that space. You can create your own, find your own balance in your energy and stay there. And this is what mastery is all about, is finding your own energetic field and staying in that no matter what is going on around you. So that is the wish that I have for you this week. Be limitless.
Yes, that's the best ending right there. Be limitless.
Be limitless.
Be kind to yourself, love yourself, give yourself the opportunity, and just be limitless. I'm Eric Redwanski.
And I'm Sonya Lee.
I claimed it this week.
Very
Be well.
good. Be well.